Hello, chess friends, and welcome to Jozarov Chess Channel, and welcome back to the FIDE Candidates in 2024 that's going on now in Toronto, in Canada. We're now in the round 3 of this amazing chess tournament, and in the round 3, I think the most spectacular game was the Indian Derby between Vidit Santosh Gujrathi and Ramesh Babu Praggnanandhaa. So, Vidit had, I think, a great tournament so far. He won his second game with the black pieces against Big Hikaru. He destroyed him really in a great game yesterday. Great performance so far by Vidit. On the other hand, Praggnanandhaa didn't have a good tournament so far. In the first round, he played at raw bud and actually lost his game with the white pieces against Gukish. Still nothing lost, of course, for Prag. If he continues to play aggressively, if he, of course, wins the next couple of games, he can also have good chances in the FIDE Candidates in 2024. So let's see now what happened between Vidit and Prag. Really, really spectacular game because we'll see a rare opening that basically no one dares to play now these days. It's really, really an aggressive line introduced to us here by Ramesh Babu Praggnanandhaa. So with the white pieces here, Vidit opened with the move e4. Prag's response was e5. We have knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to b5, and after move a6, the Murphy defense. We have bishop to a4, and now the fun starts. We have now the Schliemann defense with the move f5. Aggressive idea, of course, weakens here the structure, but you're playing in sort of, I would say, King's Gambit style. What you're trying to do is, of course, after potential e takes f5, to have a pawn central control after potential move d5. For instance, if e takes f5 happens, this wouldn't be so good because then black continues with e4. You could maybe try queen to e2 to somehow not allow here e takes f3, but then actually with queen to e7, black is protecting and everything, and here black should be slightly better. In some games that I've seen in the database, bishop to c6 has been played, d takes c6, but still I think black is pretty solid here with the bishop pair crossing all over the board. The knight will be developed, so a slightly better position for black for sure. So that's why white should not take. That's why Vidit played the correct move, I would say. Here the move d4, breaking and entering. He's saying, show me what you got, show me how you have prepared the Schliemann defense. So what should black not do? Black should not actually take here e takes f5 now, because then it leads into complications after knight to e5. Of course, Prag didn't play that. After knight to e5, knight to e5, d takes e5, and something like queen to e7, this position can be protected easily. You could maybe try even a check, but knight to c3 covers everything, and you can even take your pawn. But now, look at this. White would have 3 minor pieces dancing all over the board. Black is lacking development, has problems with the c7 pawn. White will include now all of the pieces into the attack. Not a good continuation. Even if you try after here, instead of this move knight to e5, to maybe play knight to f6, still white will simply castle. You try maybe to play bishop to d6, putting more pressure against this knight. But you see, it's always a lack of development for black. Although you can maybe attack the knight here on the center of the board, but now you cannot advance the d pawn to liberate your light square bishop. Now black would be challenged this way, knight to g4, trading off knight, bishop to b3. You have a light square problem, so not a good continuation here for black. So that's why, of course, here e takes f5 was not Vidit's continuation, but also f takes e4 was not Ramesh Babu Praggnanandhaa's continuation. So both of them, of course, know their theory here in the Schliemann defense. So that's why from move d4, here we have e takes d4. But now Vidit advances the pawn, simply has now a space advantage in the center of the board, but also Prag has a space advantage here on the d file. So both players have now dynamic opportunities in the center of the board. We have now b5 by Prag, bishop to b3, knight to a5, going for the bishop, knight to d4, and after bishop to b7, here I would say Vidit made his first inaccuracy in the game. Here the best continuation is maybe here to castle, simply securing the king, then simply support the pawn. Then after something like knight to b3, you can play a takes b3, has been played in the game that I see also in the database. You can also play here after knight to b3, knight takes b3, so you still have good chances. Maybe something like queen to e7, a4, you're challenging. This pawn can never be taken because of the rook activity. Messed up game it would be, of course, for black for sure. So that's why here after bishop to b7, white has to secure the king by castling or maybe play normal development. These are the most powerful lines. The problem for black is in this line that black cannot take here with bishop takes g2 because you're running into some tactics. Rook to g1, you escape, maybe to bishop to b7, then check. Look at this, g6, rook take g6, h take g6. Look at this, king to e7, bishop to g5 is coming. So game over, I would say here for black for sure. The queen will be lost, or you get even checkmated in the next couple moves. So that's why normal development, I think, here is crucial for white, but also it's very crucial for black to not take the pawn, because then you're basically inviting here white's rook into the game. That's why I would say the next move is really an accuracy by Vidit. He played now knight to f5, has been also played in one game that I see in the database, but it's really not the correct way to take this pawn. The engine, the Stockfish engine, doesn't like now Vidit's continuation. Actually, with this move, black has equalized the game from this point on, I think. Now black has suddenly good chances in the game. After knight to f5, here we have knight takes b3, a takes b3, and now a brilliant move here by Pragg d6. Risky choice, seems dangerous because you're opening still the position in front of your own king, but this is a brilliant move, because after something like e takes d6, you don't pick up the pawn or something with the pawn, you play queen to d7, and then after something like queen to e2, you could get challenged with a check, but you actually hide to f7, and there's simply no good way for white to attack your king anymore, and you are continuing with the bishop pair. Your king is still stuck also in the center. You have to play, I don't know, something like knight to h4, bishop to d6, and believe me, black is solid here. Black is perfectly fine with this bishop crossing, bishop pair crossing all over the board. I would not love to play anymore this game with the white pieces, although down a pawn, but look at this. This is a beautiful attacking formation. Knight to f6 would then happen, rook to f8, including now also the rook into the game. So as I said, very, very tricky line, this line here by Praggnanandhaa, the move d6. Seems like you are in danger, but actually here white should be endangered in a potential tactical sequence. So that's why here queen to e2. We have queen to d7, hitting the knight, of course. We have now the move e6. Vidit is trying now to keep his pawn, his mobile pawn, in the center of the board. Of course, Pragg goes with queen to c6. Hits now simply the g2 weakness, and now we have bishop to g5. Brilliant move here by Vidit. Very dirty, actually, idea, because if you play something like queen to g2 now, actually you're running into a checkmate. Knight takes g7, check, you have to take it now, queen to h5. Beautiful, beautiful, stunning checkmate. It would be, of course, you have only maybe this score, but then queen to f7, a beautiful, beautiful checkmate with the pawn and the queen. So bishop to g5, amazing idea here by Vidit Santosh Gujrathi. So that's why g6, first by Pragg, kicking away the knight, knight to e3. Now the knight is connected to the g2 pawn. The pawn is now protected, and now finally Vidit wants to secure the king by castling. h6 by Pragg. He's kicking away the bishop, wants of course now to secure the king on with queenside castle. We have bishop to f4, knight to e7, c4 here by Vidit, and a good move now also by Pragg, b4, locking simply the queenside, because as I said, Pragg wants to castle queenside, and when you castle queenside, you don't want to allow your opponent to open some files. So that's why he's locking the files, not allowing some open C, B file and similar stuff. Maybe even the D file could be useful for white in the attack. So that's why B4, good prophylactic move, because as I said, Pragg wants to secure the king on the queen side. We have queen to g4, queen to c5, kingside castling. We have bishop to g7, and now after move knight to d2, actually here Pragg makes, I think, the crucial mistake that could have been punished by Vidit Santosh Gujrathi. Here Pragg played queenside castling. The whole concept, the whole idea was to prepare this move, but actually now it's not working, because here Vidit had a great chance with knight to d5. Knight to d5, look at this, knight to d5, and now e7. Simply playing this discovered check, and you hit the rook, and you win the exchange, and I think afterwards this is completely winning here for white. This was what, pardon me, this was really bad by Pragg to play queenside castling. A better choice was simply to secure the king by castling here on the king side. Then after something like rook to a from rook from a to c1, do you have opportunities to maybe get your pawn back with bishop to b2. You can also play something like rook from a to e8, knight to d5. You kick away the queen. Now you take. You can take also. So maybe this game would not have been continued like this, but with the bishop pair, you always feel, I think, in this open battles very, very comfortable. Kingside castling was the move, and unfortunately for Pragg, he played now queenside castling, but Vidit didn't punish that. He played now a bad move, h4. Here it could have been already game over for Pragg. h4, bad also move now by Vidit, which makes now Pragg's continuation very, very good, because he can now escape from this tactic. Now knight to d5, knight to d5, e7 is not working because the rook is not anymore on d8. We have rook from a to d1, bishop takes b2, we have knight to d5, and okay, so now this tactic is not working because, as I said, e7 doesn't come with the discovered check. So we have now bishop to d5, e7 now. Now Vidit played it, but now it's the worst move, because when the pawn was on e6, at least you can protect it with rook to e1. When the pawn is on e7, it's much tougher now to defend this pawn. Now the main strategic and tactical goal of white becomes actually his main problem. Vidit made now a huge mistake, e7, advanced the pawn, which, okay, cannot be maybe taken immediately, but it will be a long-term weakness in white's position. So we have king to b8, Pragg gets out, of course, bishop to e3, hitting the queen, knight to c4. Here a beautiful tactical sequence by Vidit. He, of course, is challenging the bishop here, bishop to d4. He wants to get rid, of course, of the main strength of Praggnanandhaa, the beautiful bishop here that's crossing all over the board. We have rook to g8, bishop takes c3, and now after b takes c3, this was Vidit's idea to get the pawn here on c3. But now Pragg, as I said, can take finally the pawn on e7, and suddenly I would dare to say black should be better here, because this bishop in an open battle is much better than the knight. And Pragg has also the opportunity to play g5, maybe to open the g file. Look at this, the rook is very dangerous, the queen is crossing here, the queen can be maybe included on dark square. So I'm not saying white is busted or something, but it's, I think, always more comfortable to play now the game here with the black pieces. Here after move knight to a5, we have now rook to e5 by Praggnanandhaa, and now Vidit again makes, I think, another mistake. He plays b4. Here it was time, I think, to simply get rid of this annoying bishop on b7, knight to b7, king to b or queen to b7, king to b7, and okay. White is down a pawn, but I think because black's king is also a little bit endangered, could be attacked by white pieces. This could be a drawish position also for white. But after move b4 here, Vidit allows Pragg finally to attack the king side. We have now h5. Here Pragg continues, of course, with the move g4, and again knight to b7 was the opportunity for Vidit, but he didn't play that. He played now rook to e1. He challenged now Praggnanandhaa's rook on e5, but now comes g3 and the position is collapsing. Here I would say it's almost game over here for white. The position is so dangerous. Look at this, g file is going to be open, bishop is crossing all over the board. Of course now Vidit took, but it's a little bit too late, because look at this, g takes f2 comes with a check, g file is opened, we have queen to b7. Dangerous ideas around the square b2. You have to now play queen to f3. Everything is pretty much forced here. Queen takes rook to g5. Pardon me. First of all, hitting here the weakness on g2. Of course, here Vidit took, but now after king to b7, there's simply no good defense. You lose the pawn on g2, or you lose the pawn on h5. Vidit tried to battle with g4, rook to g4, rook to e6 here by Vidit. He's trying, of course, to get something here also with the h6 pawn, but now Pragg goes simply for the h5 pawn, and from this point on, I think this is a completely winning endgame here for black. So after Pragg's rook to h4, here we have rook to h6 by Vidit Santosh Gujrathi, rook to g5, of course, hitting the h5 pawn. Now Vidit is trying to do some tactics with rook to d6, but it's not working. First of all, Pragg challenges now the rook on h7. We have rook to d7. Pragg gets out of this potential tactic with rook to d6, gets out of this mess on the 7th rank. We have now king to rook to e7, rook to e5, rook to g7, and now after rook to f5, in this particular position, Vidit Santosh Gujrathi resigns. So, Pragg is back. Won now his game with the black pieces against Vidit Santosh Gujrathi. You see, it's a wild, crazy tournament where everyone can beat everyone. So I would not dare to say who can still win this so far. Gukic, Fabiano Caruana didn't lose any game so far, have great chances, but everything can change. Everyone can beat everyone. This is really crazy, crazy tournament for sure. So, okay, with this win, Praggnanandhaa is back. He has now 1/2 points out of the first 3 rounds, which is, of course, like we have played every day draw, which is a solid result in the beginning. Vidit Santosh Gujrathi has still also chances. You see, Vidit also played an awesome game yesterday against Hikaru Nakamura. So this will be epic. This will be crazy. No one dares to say who is going to be winner of the FIDE candidates in 2024. So, okay, if you want to see some other games that we have covered so far here on my YouTube chess channel from this tournament, check out our coverage so far. Here are some links of some games that we have analyzed before. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos. And what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.